Hello, welcome to Ball Street. We're here for the launch of the latest Bookazine. Simon Caney's here, Barcelona Kings of Europe. We've got Robbie from ArsenalFanTV, myself from the RedMen TV, and we're here to talk through the greatest teams each of our sides had to represent them, and how they stand up, I guess, against the aforementioned Barcelona Kings of Europe.
I think this was almost like peak Barcelona, if you like.
Yeah.
The style of play, the whole system that they had, and obviously Messi at the forefront of everything they did, but you know, this was just a wonderful free-flowing team.
When I used to go and watch them play, I mean, I would have paid double to watch Arsenal play in those days. It was just like...
You got what you wish, mate.
It was just a joy, absolutely joy, you know, because they played with such a swagger. It was the style in which they won games, and it just not been seen before in the Premier League.
We were already the best team in the country in the 80s, and Kenny Dalglish, he went out and he bought Barnes, he bought Beardsley, and he had Aldridge, which he brought in the season before, right at the end, and took it on another level. So Simon, the Bookazine itself, do you want to tell us a little bit about the origins of it? Obviously Barcelona, perfect subject matter. How did you go about constructing that?
Well, we've done a few of these now. We're working with the team at World Soccer Magazine. It's the oldest football magazine in the UK, been going since 1960. It was a magazine that was launched on the back of Real Madrid beating Eintracht Frankfurt 7-3 in the European Cup final, allegedly the greatest club performance of all time. And back then they thought, we've got to start doing something about football elsewhere other than England, because at the time we only thought that football existed in this country and that was it. So working, working with those guys and working in their archives, I've been surrounding myself with old magazines, and it's incredible. The archive goes back to 1960, so we've got loads of features that we can take, and they're fascinating, the history of the club. But then we sort of commissioned some extra stuff about, you know, pre-1960. People like Keir Radnage have written for us, who used to be working on world soccer back in the 60s, which is great. Andy Mitten, who's a bit of an expert on Barcelona, who's done some stuff as well. So it's kind of piecing together the history of the club as told by the magazine from 1960 onwards, with a few other sort of commission bits in the middle. It just feels great, and it looks great because you can use these old images of people like Johan Cruyff and Maradona when he was there in the 80s, when Bobby Robson was manager there. There's a great story to Barcelona. I think it's one of these things you like to call it a coffee table magazine, that, you know, anybody who loves football is kind of interested in the history of a great club like Barcelona. This is just a really good read because it's a narrative story that starts from when they were founded and goes all the way through to them winning the Champions League this year, and we do it chronologically. And you know, it's just the history of it. People don't know about the players from the 20s and 30s. You know, we're telling a real story here. So I think it's for people who love football.
I'll be very interested to know, do they talk about the Figo?
Yeah, Figo leaving?
Because I want to read it just for that. I mean, that always really fascinates me, that Figo left from Barca and went to Real Madrid. I mean, what was he thinking?
They put in a huge buyout clause at the time, 2000, I think it was 2000 or 2001. Something like 38 million euros, thinking, well, no one's ever going to pay that for a player. And almost overnight, he's gone from Barcelona to Madrid, which is just, you know, unbelievable, and then gets the pig's head thrown at him when taking the corner, amongst other things. I mean, you know, the pig's head was probably the least of his worries. There's darts and coins and God knows what going on. And yeah, there's some interesting stuff in here. Guardiola says about, you know, Figo, he still sees Figo as a friend, but, you know, it would never have occurred to Guardiola to go to Madrid. It's a great history, and it's a club that's had real ups and downs. You know, at the moment it's up there, but they've certainly, you know, through the 70s and 80s it was pretty tough.
Great, so I guess we have to ask the question, if these three teams were transported through a time portal of some description and placed into a mini round-robin tournament, who's coming out on top?
I think the biggest threat to Barcelona would be that Liverpool team, sorry to say. In players like Hansen and Lawrenson, two absolute epic centre-backs, read the game so well, both of them. And also actually that Liverpool midfield, maybe not hugely heralded, all of it, but I think might be able to sort of get in amongst Xavi and Iniesta.
Go on, Robbie, you clearly disagree.
Sorry, I never. The Arsenal Invincibles team could have beaten Barcelona. It wasn't just the skills of Bergkamp and Henry, the power factor with Vieira in the midfield, with players like Sol Campbell at the back. Don't get me wrong, that Barcelona team is exceptional, but the Invincibles team, I would have given that Barcelona team a serious run, and I think it would have beaten the Liverpool team as well.
It's a different era of football Liverpool played in back then, and I I think, as I said, if we're playing under those eras, rules and conditions, I think Liverpool literally go and physically destroy, you know, and end a number of careers along the way. But you know, I think that team for Liverpool, that team had that balance. You know, you've got Steve McMahon in there, who is literally going around booting people for fun and loving it. John Barnes won the PFA Player of the Year that year, won the Writers Player of the Year. That was him coming. He was just coming into that golden period of his career, about 4 seasons when he was just absolutely unplayable. I
think the beautiful thing about that Barcelona team is it's almost the culture of the club. And so many players in that team came through their youth system in the Masia, and that goes back all the way to the 70s, and Johan Cruyff, kind of when he was a player, suggesting that they actually improve their youth system and have a sort of a style that is associated with the club at all times. And it's all about passing and movement and the speed at which they do it. You look at players like Xavi, Iniesta that they've got there, Victor Valdez came through there, Pedro. Almost like I say, it's a culture, and they still do that, and they bring youth players through. It's down to Johan Cruyff. It apes the Ajax setup from the early 70s, when they just found these kids and just, you know, taught them how to play football in what you would call the right way. It wasn't just all about intricate one-touch passing, which everybody associates triangles and that kind of thing. But actually, there was a lot more to it than that, and the vision and the pace at which they moved the ball around. People just couldn't compete with it.
Okay, the Barcelona Bookazine, the Kings of Europe, is available at all good news agents and on Amazon. And because this is YouTube, you can click the link below to go and check out and buy the book.